Hi, Greg Andrick here. I just wanted to bring you a Martin Luther King Jr. Day story. This is a little bit after the holiday was a couple of days ago. I wasn't able to put this together prior, but as I reflect on it, and oftentimes the most powerful things happen after you have an activity and the ability to reflect on it, that I thought there were a lot of business applications to the principles that Dr. King espouses and how we line them up in our own lives and business. And then I have my own story that's related to Dr. King that I thought you might find interesting. So here's a picture of Dr. King, a portrait that was in the Utah State Statesman magazine. That's the magazine of Utah State University that's intended mostly for students, but for alumni and everybody else. And the reason I'm using this picture that was in that, because I think everyone's fairly familiar with Dr. King's principles of freedom, equality, kindness, love, sharing, all the positive principles. And I think that in this day and age, they're kind of in short supply. But I use the picture connected to Martin Luther King, and I think that these principles are key to your success if you're a business person, or really if you're any kind of a person, that you want to have success in life, to follow those principles where you put others first, where you don't have any of these negative characteristics, then everything is positive. And if you're aware of that in your business, you will be much more successful. So the picture that I'm showing you now is of Larzette Hale Wilson. Larzette was head of the Utah State University College of Accounting for over 13 years. I had the great honor to know her very well for a year because she came from Langston College, where she and her husband, she was I think the provost, and her husband was the president, but unfortunately he had terminal cancer. And she came to Utah State University, where I was a second year student, and was the first, well, first off, in the entire United States, Larzette Hale Wilson was the first black female CPA to earn a PhD in accounting. As I told you previously, she was the head of the Utah State University School of Accounting for 13 years, but that didn't come till several years after I met her. So I'm a boy from Los Angeles attending in Utah, at Logan, Utah, where Utah State University is. And I'm in the hallway. My class was only 35 people in the class, and all these people that were primarily from Utah were discussing the new black professor. And I was actually kind of shocked to hear what was coming out of the mouth of people, because at the time, my guess is that less than 1% of the people in Utah were black. Yet all these fellow students of mine, whom I knew really well and I thought were really good people, had some really negative views. And I later found out that she and her husband had a lot of other problems in Logan, and thank goodness all of that has changed, that they lived for 2 years in student housing because no one would sell them a house in Logan, Utah, where there's virtually no other black people. So I thought that was pretty phenomenal. And it came up that she couldn't get a grader. And now normally a master's student acts as a professor's grader. When I heard this, I leapt on it, went to her office, and presented myself a second year, not even a graduate, to be her grader and her assistant. And she was a very gracious, wonderful lady that she, I believe, has the same principles as Dr. King. It's that gentle, persistent love. And she, in her time at Utah State, I mean, I left the next year, was able to do many things that brought up the visibility and quality of the school. I'm not quite sure when, after I left, she became the head of the School of Accounting at Utah State University. But she raised the outlook and quality, and I think that the people around her, maybe some of those same people that had the negative views when she first came in, turned them all around, and they all grew to love her. Or they knew her from her kind demeanor, persistence, and then the positive experiences that she developed for them. And the thing that's also amazing to me that I never knew this about her, that I looked up for this video, was this is of somebody that was placed in an orphanage at age 11. Can you imagine 75, 80 years ago being a black person placed in an orphanage, what your outlook on life would be? And yet here's this wonderful person, rose above her circumstances continually, and went on to help those that may not have liked her, may have criticized her, won them over, and count them now as all loyal admirers. This is a path and a methodology that we should all take to heart. And as I mentioned on the Dr. King, his principles are the same principles we should all apply in our lives, our careers, and our businesses. And I'm urging everybody today to examine what you're doing with your business, because these posts that I'm putting on LinkedIn are business oriented. But you know, there's a blur between business and life. And I think if you look at these two particular people centered around post Martin Luther King Day 2023, that you'll look at the things that they stand for and adopt them as your own. And once you do, I think you'll find great peace and success. You'll find things come to you that you never thought would come to you before. So I'm going to conclude my post Martin Luther King Day video here today and tell you that I'm thankful for his legacy. I'm thankful for the opportunity that Dr. Hale Wilson gave me, and I'm thankful for how she impacted my alma mater, Utah State University, with her kind, gentle, love, and persistent demeanor. Anyhow, this is the end of it, and I'll see you again on the next video.